Christopher Moltisanti is channeling his inner Axel Foley while Tony Soprano, his cousin's trying to get into his fiancée. Welcome back to Fog Entertainment. It's irregular around the margins. And you know Sopranos, it gets hyped up as the greatest show ever, but when they want to focus on a storyline in an episode, they don't have. Make it obvious. We see Tony's perspective at the doctor. We see Adrianna's perspective at the doctor. And it's like, hold on here. Why can't they just naturally make this flow? I'm sick of hearing that David Chase is cooking. He cooked a decent show. I'll give him that. But I think when The Sopranos wants to focus on something, they just overly do it on one episode. They don't gradually let it boil. You know what I mean? It doesn't simmer. It just gets overcooked. Gas Mark 6. You get me?
Gas Mark 6, brother.
Yeah, so Tony's at the hospital. He's getting a mole removed. Adrianna's got irritable bowel syndrome because she's working as an FBI informant. And I may have quoted that Christopher is like Axel Foley because, of course, he's doing the cigarette smuggling this episode. So he's out of town.
Wasn't as good as Axel Foley's cigarette scene, was it?
What the fuck's up with that?
I need $5,000. You read my lips. I need $5,000. I can't do anything with it. This bullshit.
Bullshit.
Oh, hey, take them all and smoke them yourself, you son of a bitch. I don't smoke Lucky Strike. I smoke Big King.
Big King, motherfucker. Anyway, alright. Christopher, he's out of town. He will be back later on in the episode. But do you want to talk about the fact that The Sopranos likes to do this with the writing, where it just brings it up for an episode and it just focuses on it overly instead of naturally flowing in there? Like Tony in his swimming pool, with a wee rubber dinghy around him, floating around the pool.
Sopranos doesn't really feel like episodic television at times. It almost feels like you could miss an episode and it wouldn't really affect the overall like main story, because you just see a lot of times they'll just devote a single episode to like one storyline, and then by the end of that episode, that storyline will be wrapped up. It's not like other shows where each season has a storyline and stories will stretch out beyond multiple episodes. Sopranos doesn't really seem to do that. It seems to just like focus one episode on one story. Some people might like that. I mean, I personally don't. You
don't like that? Anyway, I mean, we've seen numerous scenes where Tony's at the club, right? One scene he does gear, one scene they're doing darts, one scene Meadow shows up, and then as soon as Meadow sits down, she's like, well, you need to leave because my daddy's here, sort of thing. It looked like Adrianna and Tony were going to kiss, but then Phil walks in with his brother Billy, whatever happened there. They walk in, but nothing really happened. And then Tony goes to Dr. Melf and he says, you know what, he could have acted on it, but he didn't. He resisted his temptations here. He views Adrianna as someone he could settle down with and have a new family with. What sweetie mice is going around Tony Soprano's dome to actually fucking think that?
Yeah, like, she's young enough to be his daughter. Like, how could he have a family with her? It just doesn't make sense. Like,
no, well, I mean, theoretically he could, but it's like, imagine if Adrianna and Chris split up and Tony starts a family with Adrianna.
Yeah, but
how could Chris? How would
Chris be allowed to? How would he be able to be in Tony's faction, his crew? It wouldn't work.
No, it definitely wouldn't work.
Plus, isn't there a punishment for sleeping with a maid man's
maybe
wife or
but Tony's the man, isn't he? Oh, but you can't punch a maid guy.
You can break the rules.
You can break the rules. Well, he broke the rules for Ralph and not much happened there, but essentially they're going to get some cocaine here. They're driving. Tony is distracted and he swerves to avoid a raccoon. It was the biggest crash I've ever seen. They were going like, 40 miles an hour, man. Flipped. Good night. Bang. Adrianna, wee bit more injured than Tony. Tony's just got a few bumps and scratches. But this starts the rumour mill, doesn't it?
Yeah, but why didn't we gradually get this over a series of episodes? Why did they just like pretty much dedicate this whole episode, first half of it, to speed along the process?
Yeah, there's no reason why these club scenes at the start couldn't have took place across like episode 3, 4 and 5. But that's just the way it goes. But, you know, you've got the crew here. You've got all these different scenes, like Junior's in here. You've got Bobby, you've got Silvio, you've got Polly, you've got Hesh, you've got a million other people, you know, suggesting that Tony slept with Adrianna. She was sucking him off behind the wheel and that's why he crashed. They missed an opportunity here for me, right? When it cut to Junior's scene, he should have said over the phone, I always knew he didn't have the makings of a varsity athlete, but they fucking dropped the ball. They did.
That would have been great.
And I know. I think it would have been breaking like the third wall almost, but I think it would have made this episode 10 out of fucking 10 for me. But it didn't. Anyway, yeah, they're playing the game, telephone pretty much, the unintentional. But again, it's like they're making up this story about Tony. I feel like in a different episode, Tony would go on the warpath here, demanding who started this rumour. You don't think so? No, remember Johnny Sack when Ralph said the joke about his wife?
Yeah, they want him dead.
Yeah, so what is this? We need a little bit more going on here. But Chris, he returns home, and two guys let him know that she was in a car accident with Tony. And Chris tries to play it off. He's like, I was probably just giving her a lift to her aunt's house. But obviously, Chris, extremely pissed here. Do you think Chris's anger this episode was justified?
Absolutely, yeah. Because, I mean, why would Tony and fucking... not Carmela, Adrianna be in the same car driving it towards her dealer? Just Chris is out of town trying to make a living, albeit a corrupt living, and she's thinking about getting high. That's the guy that had his addictions, and he's trying to do well. He's trying to survive and cope and live a clean life, and all she's thinking about is getting high with Tony S. Yeah,
and obviously from Chris's point of view, it looks like they did do something, but they didn't. Well, we'll get into it.
But I mean, who's to say they wouldn't have if the crash didn't take place?
Exactly. I mean, I'm not going to condone Christopher beating up Adrianna for what feels like the 10th time at this stage of the game, right? But I think him throwing her out and being pissed was justified.
Is him going into Tony's club with a gun? Is that justified?
No, we'll get to that right here, right now. So Tony sends AJ over to Carmela's. Carmela confronts him about it. We then get this like funny scene where he left the pizza on the floor, and then he goes out and he's debating should I leave the pizza, should I not, but he ends up keeping the pizza. It's all good. Christopher then rocks up to Tony's the Bada Bing Club. He's pissed. He's got his gun out. He fires all the shots into Tony's car. He busts in. He points the gun at Tony, but he's getting bullets left at the end of the day. And then the crew drive him out. We have got Tony. We have got Polly, I believe we had Silvio, we had Tony B. Right, so what did you make of this scene out in the Meadowlands? Christopher almost got killed here back in season 1, if you remember. Polly tries to stick up for him, say, Tony, he didn't try to kill you. Look, he unloaded all his rage into your car, but but Christopher thought Polly was trying to make him look weak. I thought Polly was actually standing up for him, trying to save his life here.
Was he or was he belittling him? It's hard to tell, it's 50-50.
Polly is a bit of a shitstormer.
Maybe a bit of a both, to be fair.
But yeah, Tony's about to kill him. Tony B, though, is like, no, you can't kill him. But then Tony's like, give me one good fucking reason why I don't put a bullet in you right now. And then Chris doesn't really say anything. Would it have been justified for Tony to kill Chris here?
I don't think so. I mean, he didn't kill him at the end of the day. Like Paulie said, he didn't plan on killing him.
No,
he killed his car.
We did have the funny scene earlier in the episode as well, where Chris walks in and people are laughing. Big Feto's laughing. And Chris like, what's the fucking joke? What's so funny, you fucking parade float? Which I thought was pretty funny. And then but he's like, oh, you can't do that, I'm a made man. But he threw a fucking sandwich at you, Feto. Fucking reel it in, son. I'm a captain, you can't say that. But then we get the scene where Tony B and Chris go to the doctor, and the doctor pretty much explains that, you know, they couldn't have been doing anything in the car, Chris, because the injuries don't suggest that. The seatbelt was on. But Chris is like, well, you know what, who gives a fuck? Because everyone thinks she did it anyway. I mean, I get Chris's point, but does he need to let it go? Can he let it go? Who's the evil guy here? Is it Chris for being pissed? Is it Tony for almost killing him?
They're not all in the wrong, though. I mean, realistically.
Maybe you're both fucking wrong. Yeah.
You're both wrong there, lads.
Yeah, and then the episode ends with Tony, Carmela, Chris, Adrianna, Tony B, and his wife. They're having a meal at Artie's restaurant, and the whole crew looks on as if, they're alright, but they're not really alright.
Dysfunctional family, guys, that was it. Thought it was an okay episode, it was decent, I actually kind of liked it, to be fair.
Yeah, I think season 5's been good.
Is it my favourite season so far? I don't know, but it's definitely, I think it's better than 3 and 4.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I thought 3 and 4 were pretty poor outside of Ralph, to be honest. I'd give this, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. I thought it was pretty good, this episode. I liked it.
7, I will give it a 7 as well. Anyway, guys, till next time. Peace.